everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the show, and hope you guys have saved some room in that gas tank because it's time to go one more round with Rob. Here today, I'm going to be breaking down a couple of fights from the One Fighting Championships event, Fists of Fury 3 from this past Friday morning. It was a great card overall, guys. Really great, really exciting fights, and I think the fights that I have broken down for you guys were, the most exciting out of the 6 that they have. So let's get into it. We're starting off with a 1FC MMA bout in their strawweight division. It was the number 5 Alex Silva versus Hiroba Minowa. Now, just a reminder, guys, 1FC's MMA bouts are a little bit different. They use a global MMA scoring card, which then judges the contest over the entirety of the bout, so they don't split it up they don't split it up by round as we do here in the United States. So it's not like a boxing or MMA or kickboxing bout here in the U.S. They split it up, or they don't split it up, excuse me. They judge the entirety of the fight, and then they choose who won the fight. So there's no 10-9 rounds. There's nothing like that. They just choose who they believe did better throughout the fight or did better overall in the fight. Just as a reminder for you guys. So round 1, both guys come out. They're patient to start. They're essentially feeling each other out, not really doing too much. Then Silva shoots for a takedown about 30 seconds in, transitions to a leg lock attack, doesn't get the leg lock, but he uses the leg lock attempt to pretty much maneuver into top control. He uses it to get into top control, and then he just starts using a lot of pressure and technique. Once he gets that top control, he ends up moving to mount just because he was able to use his pressure and technique, and he gets to mount with just about over half the round left. So in that first, after that takedown after 30 seconds, and then up to that halfway point in the round, which they use the 5-minute rounds just like here in the U.S. So it's about 2.5 minutes left in the round when he gets to mount. But it was really great to watch, guys, because there was just a lot of technique that these guys were using. Silva was trying to use a lot of technique to pass and get to mount. Minowa was using a lot of great technique to try to stop Silva from passing and getting them out. It was a really beautiful, really great display of jiu-jitsu performances. Great jiu-jitsu performance. That's really what it was. So Silva gets to the mount. He then switches to side control, and Minowa is able to sweep Silva because of this, get back up, and they end up kind of and get back up. Trying to get back up. Minowa sweeps Silva, gets his back. He's trying to get up. They end up in a little bit of a scramble. They get tangled up side by side. So their legs, they're side by side. Pretty much one guy has each arm, or one arm over the other, and then the same side leg is kind of intertwined as well. Silva takes advantage of this. He ends up getting top control again. He uses it to kind of pull the leg out, get top control. Controls a good portion of that area. They do end up getting to their feet right before the end of the round, but they're not really, or they get up with maybe a little bit over a minute left. And they're not really throwing any strikes, really. It's just, okay, let's regroup onto our feet. But then the last minute, the two end up back on the ground, and they end up exchanging shots. Silva from the top, Minowa from the bottom, which is, really good to see Minowa doing that, because you don't see a lot of guys trying to throw strikes from the bottom. They normally, you'll see a lot of guys that are on the bottom that they're just defensive or trying to sweep or anything like that. Minowa was just throwing strikes right back at Silva. So it was a really good display for Minowa on the bottom. Through the first round, I thought Silva performed better. Like I said, guys, there's no 10-9 scoring system in 1FC for the MMA bouts. But through round 1, I thought Silva, had performed better. Round 2, Minowa comes out. He opens up with a good right hand, and then kind of uses a flurry, and then throws a leg kick, and then uses a little bit of a flurry of punches to try to back Silva up. Silva, in order to not get hit, attempts a takedown. Minowa defends it, but then, excuse me, sorry guys, but then Minowa, or excuse me, Silva kind of slides under, squeaks under Minowa's body, and ends up going for a leg lock attempt again. And and he ends up on top. Or I'm sorry, he ends up giving up the bottom this time. He doesn't end up on top this time. Minowa ends up on top this time. Minowa defends it. So Silva, in going for that leg lock, trying to use it as a sweeping technique as he did in the first round to get on top. It backfires on him this time. Minowa ends up on top. Minowa then stands up. He starts throwing some leg leg kicks to Silva. And from there, my apologies, guys. And then from there, he lands some kicks to Silva's legs, and then he re-engages onto the ground. Silva attempts an omoplata, which is a shoulder lock, which a lot of the leverage comes from the guy attempting the submission's leg. So he kind of throws one leg over the back of the guy's shoulder, and he scoots under his arm and around. So it could be a very good shoulder lock technique. So Minowa attempts the omoplata. Silva attempts the omoplata. Minowa escapes, gets on top, and then reverses the position to get top control again up against the cage. So, Silva reversed the position to then get top control up against the cage again. At this point, Silva appears to try a crucifix / twister position. So crucifix position is where the guy on top normally has one arm of the guy on the bottom stretched out, and he has it kind of locked up with one hand or one arm, and then the other arm of the guy on the bottom the top guy has locked up with his legs. So it's kind of a combination of that and a twister position, which a twister position is a different kind of submission where you pretty much kind of just crank the person's head one way and their body the other way. It was kind of a mix of those two positions. It was an interesting position they found themselves in. He then transitions that to a heel hook attempt and to end the round. Silva in these first two rounds really just went a lot for leg locks, any kind of lower body lock. Outside of the omoplata and that weird crucifix twister mixed position there, Silva was really going leg locks, heel hooks, figure four ankle locks, like all that kind of stuff. He wasn't really attacking the upper body, which isn't too common, especially in MMA, because you go to attack the legs. Normally you have both arms around the one guy's leg, and you have no way to defend yourself from getting hit. So the guy that's essentially defending the leg lock is just going to sit there and hammer fist or punch you in the face until you let go of it, or until you actually cinch it in and make him tap out. But leg locks are extremely difficult to go for in MMA, or it's a high risk, high reward kind of thing. Silva didn't really seem to have he didn't really seem to have a care that could happen. He was like, I'm just going to go for it anyway. So in my opinion, Minowa had a lot of top control time here, through this round. Silva had more submission attempts from the bottom. He was going for, he went for a triangle choke at one point, went for kind of a arm bar at one point. Like I said, he had the omoplata attempt at the one point, went for the leg locks, heel hooks, all that kind of stuff, So even though Minowa had, what I would consider more of the top control time, I still think Silva had the better ground offense and submission attempts in the round. So I still had him kind of ahead in the fight. I thought that he overall had been doing better in the fight. But I could certainly see Minowa getting the nod in that round, so to speak, to try to even it up based on his top control time. Round 3, Minowa opens up with strikes again, defends 2 takedown attempts from Silva this time. So different than the first round and the second round where Silva does the takedown attempt, Minowa defends, and then Silva kind of transitions to that leg lock position. Minowa defends 2 of these takedowns this time, and then he uses the second one, or he uses the second takedown defense to get top control. Silva then, no surprise here, guys, attempts another leg lock. Minowa defends this, as I said before, by throwing hammer fists. So Silva has both of his arms kind of attacking that leg of Minowa. Minowa has both hands free, so he just starts throwing hammer fists at Silva. Silva reverses the position, though, gets top control again, up against the cage, and he continues to control there until they're both back up to their feet completely. So they were kind of on, I guess, one knee, so to speak, is the best way to describe it, as they were up against the cage, and they both end up on their feet again. Minowa defends another takedown from Silva, lands a few strikes, and then he gets swept. So he kind of sprawled out, landed a couple of strikes. Silva sweeps him. He's on the, Silva is on top briefly. The two end up back to their feet again. Minowa escapes it. Minowa then gets separation, and the two starts throwing more strikes. So up to this point, it was really a ground battle in this contest. It was really a battle of jiu-jitsu practitioners, or it was. I don't want to just label them jiu-jitsu practitioners, because they're MMA competitors, but it was more of a jiu-jitsu contest, so to speak, with the two kind of doing a lot more grappling. But once Minowa gets this separation, these two start striking more, start throwing more. I think Minowa actually gets a little bit of the better of the striking here, so maybe that should have been his game plan, is to try to get up and get separated from Silva earlier in the fight to try to land more strikes. But he's doing it now, so he's getting into it. Silva does get another takedown and get back control in the last 30 seconds of the round, and that's how the fight ends. But I think this was Minowa's best round. I think, that was his best round. He landed the hammer strikes as the leg lock attempt was going, which I think he should have been doing in the first 2 rounds, but he was able to defend them anyway. So I can't say that his decision not to throw him was a bad idea, because he ended up getting out of him anyway. But I think if he had done that, I think it would have kind of been a little bit more like, okay, yeah, I can see him kind of pulling ahead in the fight now because he's doing more damage. So I thought the third round was Minowa's best round. I thought overall Silva probably had enough to get the nod for the win. We go to the judges' scorecards. It ends up being a split decision win for Hiroba Minowa. So he had 2 judges give him at least 2 of the round, or give him the fight. One of the judges saw it towards Silva. Like I said, guys, overall it was mostly a very technical grappling bout, which was really enjoyable to watch. I mean, watching these two go back and forth with positions and submission attempts and everything like that was really enjoyable to watch. It really was, guys. I encourage you to go and watch this. If you guys think jiu-jitsu is boring, if you think the ground fighting, the grappling stuff and MMA is boring, I encourage you to go watch this fight. It was incredibly not boring. Like it was a really good fight. It was a really good jiu-jitsu display. Even in the first round where I was like, wow, this is a lot of jiu-jitsu going on. I looked at the clock and there was the 2.5 minutes left, the 2 minutes left in the round. And I was like, oh, this round is cruising, because it was just so good to watch them use the techniques and everything. Minowa must have gotten more credit for the second round, where he had the top control on Silva, and they must not have given as much credit to Silva for the submission attempts he had. And then I think he mostly had the advantage in round 3. I think round 1, Silva clearly had the advantage, and I think he clearly dominated the round. But I don't know for sure, because I don't believe that ONE FC releases their scorecards or anything like that. So either way, great fight. Honestly, I would love to see these two do it again. Like it was that enjoyable, but we will see what the future holds for that. Next bout I have for you guys would actually be the co-main event. I don't believe ONE FC calls them the co-main events. I think they only just go with a main event. At least I've not heard them announce it as a co-main event. I could just not be paying attention that closely when they start the introductions, but that's another. That's a fault of my own then. Anyway, it was the in the Muay Thai Super Series division for 1FC. So this is their Muay Thai division. This does score on a 10-9 system like boxing and MMA does here in the U.S. It was in the atomweight division. It was against the number 4 ranked Alma Junuku and the number 2 ranked Janet Todd. So, like I said, guys, this was an exciting fight too. So I'm gonna get right into it. I'm not gonna mince words or anything. Round 1, they come out, they start exchanging back and forth immediately. These two ladies come out and they just start throwing back and forth punches and kicks immediately. Junuku is attacking the legs early. Todd is throwing more body kicks and head kicks early, or body kick and head kick attempts early. Not every one of them are landing. And so they come out and they just start throwing early, and it was just fire. They just came out, and I don't even know how else to explain it, guys. They just came out and they started exchanging. It was great to see. Through the first half of the round, so excuse me, I almost said MMA bouts. Muay Thai bouts are 3-minute rounds for non-championship bouts. So about halfway through, they're about a minute and a half into the fight. So far, Todd's throwing more punches than Junuku is. Junuku's throwing punches in her combinations, but Junuku is also landing more kicks than Todd is. And I think those kicks start to wear, or we're doing a little bit more damage to Todd than what Todd's punches and kicks were doing to Junuku. The two end the round exchanging kicks and then a few punches after that. So the two ladies throw a couple kicks. They throw some punches after that. Horn goes off. Round stopped. And I think just through the first round, I think Junuku I gave Junuku the first round just slightly because of the pressure that she had in that first round too. Junuku was moving forward. So the Muay Thai style, encourages you to move forward. The Muay Thai fighting style is always forward, always forward, always forward. Don't go back. If you're going back, you're losing. And Junuku was just able to do that in the first round a little bit better than Todd. She was able to use that forward, keep moving forward mentality. And like I said, it was just a little bit better than Todd's. She also had a little bit more volume, I felt than Todd did in that first round, so I gave her the round 10-9. And we come out for round 2, and Junuku starts with some good jabs, and one of them snaps Todd's head back. It was a hard jab. You're sitting there, and you just see Todd's head just whoosh, snap right back, and it was like, wow, okay, here we go. And Todd's throwing in this round too. She's answering back, and she's throwing her strikes. But Junuku just seems to be able to get out of the way of Todd's shots a little bit better than Todd is. Todd is throwing more leg kicks this round. So like I said, in the first round, she was going more body / head kick attempts. She wasn't really throwing too many leg kicks. This round, she's starting to throw leg kicks, and I think she's doing that because she's like, hey, I got to stop this girl from moving forward on me, because she was able to do that so well. Junuku this round is also kind of throwing more punches in her combos. So the two are kind of seeing what the other did well in the first round and trying to apply it to their style in the second round. And it's a good kind of back and forth round. Junuku's, in my opinion, start kind of keeping more of the control as she did in the first round. But just before the end of the round, I want to say this was maybe 15 to 10 seconds left in the round, Todd starts putting more pressure on Junuku, and she starts landing more, and then she lands on Junuku with a hard right hand that drops Junuku. And so in Muay Thai, it's similar to boxing. They have a standing 8 count. So Junuku has to answer the standing 8 count to end the round. I think there may have been 8 seconds left in the round when this right hand landed, guys. Like it was very close to the end of the round. Like I said, I think there may have been 8 seconds left. It might have even been less than 8 seconds left when this right hand landed, and Todd dropped Junuku, and the ref gets in and starts doing the standing 8 count. So to end the round, Junuku has to answer the starting 8 count. There's no save by the bell rule, so she's got to answer it. She answers the standing 8 count. Round ends. And honestly, because of that knockdown in the last 10 seconds there, I gave Todd the round. I gave Todd the round 10-9. I know normally with a knockdown it would be 10-8, but you know, I didn't think that Todd up to that point had done enough to warrant a 10-8 round. I think 10-9 was fair. If you want to score it a 10-8 round because she got the knockdown, then I mean, I wouldn't argue with that either. But either way, I gave Todd the round. So I got it 1 round apiece for the ladies coming into round 3. And round 3 starts off, and Todd starts off with more pressure than she did in the first 2 rounds. And I think it was because she knew Juniku most likely was not fully recovered from being dropped right there at the end of the round. Like I said, Juniku got dropped. She answered the standing 8 count, and that was the end of the round. Like, there was no time for her to kind of even move around to see if she could get her legs back a little bit before the round ended. Round ended, and, you know, she's back over on the stool. At least, I hope they had her standing up to try to get some of that blood flowing back to her legs. But I don't know. I wasn't in her corner. But Todd comes out. She's using that pressure to kind of try to wear and on Juniku. She starts landing shots better at a distance. She's getting Juniku up against the cage. And through the first minute and a half, 2 minutes of the round, Todd's shots just seem to be landing with more pop than Juniku's. Finally, because the first 2 rounds, it seemed like Juniku's was landing with just a little bit more pop than Todd's. Script is completely flipped in this round. Todd's landing with more pop than Juniku. Juniku's volume is also considerably less than the first round, and what she had a majority of the second round. Again, I think it's because she was still hurt, and Todd was just putting pressure on her that she really just didn't get a chance to fully recover from getting dropped. Todd's doing a lot better at seeing Juniku's strikes and evading them, and then being able to answer with her own strikes and landing. And that was kind of the story of the round for the most part. Juniku does end the round throwing some good knees and elbows in the clinch, but I don't think that I don't think that was enough to say, hey, Juniku made this round close. I don't think she made it close. I don't think Todd ran away with the round, but I don't think that those strikes at the end of the round made it close for Juniku to be like, for people to be like, oh, I could give Juniku the round. Round 3 was clearly Todd's round. So we go to the judges' scorecards. It was a unanimous decision win for Janet Todd. You know, like I said, I think in my opinion, it would have to be the second and third round that they gave to her. I think the first round most likely was probably going to be given to Juniku. So I thought it was a great fight. First round was pretty even for the most part. Like I said, I gave the nod just barely to Juniku. Like I said, I think Todd stole the round in the second round with that drop, with that knockdown of Juniku in the closing seconds, and then Todd clearly took the third round. Being the number 2 girl in the division, I think Todd deserves a shot at the title next. After this performance, she came out in round 1. She kind of, round 1 and a majority of round 2 kind of had essentially some adversity to overcome. She overcame it, and she ended up getting the win, and she put on an impressive showing in that third round. She knocked down Juniku at the end of the second round. So like I said, she overcame that pressure and that little bit of adversity there, and came away with the win, and I could see her getting a title shot in her next bout out. Juniku also, I don't think she should fight somebody I don't think she should fight somebody that's a lot lower in the rankings after that fight. She held in there even in the third round when she was still hurt. She was still trying to make it competitive. I don't think she should be knocked down too much in terms of her opponent, her opponent's ranking or her opponent's abilities in the next time bout. She got caught, and Todd took advantage of it, and it is what it is. That's what happens. That's what happens in the fight game. So we move on. Last fight that I got for you guys is in the ONE FC Kickboxing Super Series division for ONE FC. It is for the lightweight world championship for their kickboxing super series. Champion Regian Eersel versus Mustapha Haida. Guys, like I said, it was another great fight. I'm going to get right into it for you guys. So round one, Eersel comes out. He takes the center of the cage to start, and Eersel by far was the taller guy and had the better reach. And he starts using that to his advantage right away to try to keep Haida on the outside and not let him get inside, because that was going to be Haida's best way. That was going to be his best avenue to win the fight. And keeping Haida on the outside was going to be Eersel's best way to win the fight. He had to keep Haida on the outside. Haida had to get on the inside of Eersel to win to essentially have a better chance of winning the fight. And Eersel's using that reach advantage to keep Haida on the outside. Eersel then lands a good right hand and a good right knee off of that right hand as Haida was moving back. And then about a minute after that first, so that's probably maybe 30 seconds into the round. And about a minute after that first combo, Eersel lands that same combo again, the right hand, right knee. And it's just that those two techniques really stung Haida in this first round. And then Eersel just goes back and he just starts landing that right hand. And it's very effective through the first round. He's landing it very well, you know. That was kind of the story of the first round was Eersel coming out and he's landing his right hand. Haida's trying to avoid it. Haida's trying to honestly not get hit with the right hand, right knee combo again, because those first two combos really stung him. And so the first round was really just Eersel keeping Haida on the outside, landing that right hand, landing the right knee, kind of essentially really whenever he wanted to. Haida's trying to land offense throughout the round. He's just not as effective. He does land shots, but you know the shots that he lands just doesn't seem to have the same amount of snap, same amount of pop power on them as Eersel's does. And in my opinion, I thought it was an easy 10-9 round to score for Eersel. Round two, Eersel comes out and he starts with a right body kick this time. So he's throwing the right hand, right knee. So now he starts with a right body kick. And Haida throws a head kick to answer. So they come out and they exchange their kicks. I think Eersel's kick to the body had was a little bit more effective than Haida's head kick, but I mean the throw was still there, the shot was still there, the attempt was still there for Haida, and that had to have been seeming to be promising for him. Eersel's applying a lot of pressure in this round too, guys. Like he's moving forward a lot, and he lands a good head kick to right hand combo because of it. You know. And that Eersel's right side through these first two rounds was just unstoppable. It seemed like Haida had no answer for it. You know, whether it was going to be a right hand, right knee combo, a right head kick, right hand combo, whether it was just going to be a right hand combo. I really think Eersel could have thrown like 3 right hands in a row, and he probably would have landed all 3 of them. Like he just had that range, and he knew how to land it on Haida. And because of the pressure Eersel was having, Haida really didn't have a chance to get going in the round. He was always kind of moving back, being defensive kind of thing. And, you know, because of that, he wasn't able to get going. He wasn't able to really get his offense off and showcased. Eersel does seem to be picking his shots a little bit better at the end of the round. I don't want to say a little bit better, but he was picking his shots more at the end of the round. He wasn't throwing as much volume. He was just kind of being like, okay, and I want to land here, and he was pretty much doing it. So he's not throwing as much volume, and he's kind of picking his shots a little bit more. I think, you know, when Haida didn't go out in that first half of the second round or in the first round, you know, on that back half of the second round, Eersel was like, okay, I can't just keep going, gas, you know, pedal to the metal here. You know, I'm going to burn out, and that's not going to be good. So he starts picking his shots a little bit better at the end of the round. Again, I gave the round 10-9 to Eersel. Not, you know, it was just 10-9 to Eersel. I don't know what else to tell you guys. It was a pretty easy round to score again. Round 3, Haida comes out and he opens up with a good 1-2 head kick attempt. So the 1-2, the jab cross attempt landed pretty well. The head kick didn't really land too much. Eersel kind of blocked it. But that kind of kicks off Haida to be a little more effective in the first minute of the round, be a little bit more aggressive, have a little bit more pressure putting on Eersel. But then Eersel, after that first minute, he starts to open up again. It was almost like Eersel took that first minute off to kind of see what Haida would do if he was able to put pressure on Eersel. And then after that first minute, Eersel just opens back up again. He starts landing as good of shots as he did in the first 2 rounds. His volume is less than it was in the first 2 rounds, through the first minute and a half to 2 minutes of the round. But he's still landing his right hand well. He's still controlling the fight at range. And he, that was kind of the story of the first 3 rounds is he's that right hand that really the whole right side of his body was just able to land whenever he wanted to. And he was just able to control the range of the fight. Like I said, Haida being the shorter guy, he had to get on the inside to have a better chance of winning this fight. And Eersel being the taller guy knew that if he could keep Haida on the outside, he would have a better chance of winning the fight. Eersel would have a better chance of winning the fight, that is, if he could keep Haida on the outside. Eersel does land end the round by landing a good hook kick. Doesn't drop Haida or anything, but it makes good contact. Again, guys, I thought it was a 10-9 round for Eersel, but I said it was just barely, just because of how Haida started off that first minute to little over a minute of the round, where he was putting the pressure on. He was landing a little bit better. And then with Eersel's volume dropping a little bit compared to the first 2 rounds, I just thought he didn't make it as clear to that he had won the round. But I still thought he won the round. Round 4, Haida comes out. He starts with a body shot, which I think is really good because in round 4, he's got to know that he has to get inside more. He's got to start throwing body shots to at least try to make Eersel a little bit more tired than what's going on. So he comes out and he starts with that body shot, but Eersel starts by attacking the legs of Haida with kicks. And this really wasn't part of part of Eersel's arsenal through the first 3 rounds. But he comes out in this 4th round and starts landing leg kicks to kind of discourage Haida from coming forward, being like, hey, man, I'll just kick your legs out then. And, then you're not going to be able to move forward or move into me or have any power in your shots. And not even that Haida was landing shots that were super powerful on Eersel anyway. So that would I thought that was a good game plan from Eersel as well. Neither man, to start the round through like the first half of the round really had an overwhelming volume. It was kind of more of a, essentially it was kind of more of a feeling out process, kind of what you would think you would have saw in round 1. It just happened in round 4, I guess. And I think it was just because both guys was like, all right, I think both guys were like, hey, those first 3 rounds, I think Eersel was a little tired because of the volume that he was throwing at cumulatively through the first 3 rounds. I think Haida was a little tired because he was getting hit with that cumulative volume through the first 3 rounds. So I think they kind of took the first minute and a half of this round to really just be like, all right, cool, like, we'll pick our shots. We'll still strike and throw and everything, but I'm not trying to go pedal to the metal here because we could still potentially have another 3-minute round after this one. Then just over a minute left in the round, Eersel lands a good combo on Haida. So he lands a good combo on Haida, and then he's just that just helps him open up and land more combos through that last minute of the round. 10-9 round for Eersel. Like I said, neither guy really had an overwhelming amount of volume to start the round, and then Eersel really just kind of got that combo going. That first combo that he landed just kind of led into his other combos. So 10-9 round for Eersel. Round 5, final round comes out. Haida's got to know he's down. He's really got to start moving forward, and he's got to get Eersel out of there if he wants to win, and he wants to win the belt. So the two come out, they exchange low kicks to start the round, and then Haida throws some good combos about 30 seconds into the round to try to start putting some pressure on Eersel and try to get him backed up and let Haida get on the inside to have a little bit better advantage to win the fight. But Eersel again begins to open up and land hard shots to Haida. And this, essentially leads to Haida having to clinch and cause a break in the action to avoid getting hit. And that's pretty much how the fifth round went. As Eersel would land some strikes, Haida, not wanting to get hit, would clinch up, and the ref would come in and separate, and which would give Haida the break in the action that he wanted. And then it would kind of repeat the process. Eersel starts landing some good head kicks and knees to the head as he has the whole fight, kind of in the last minute or so of the round. But on the flip side, in the last 30 seconds, Haida tries to open up more, but he just doesn't have a lot of success with it. He would have had more success if he was able to get inside, and I think if he was able to get inside earlier, he would have had more success in these last 30 seconds, but Haida was definitely more tired than Eersel was, and that was just because he got, the cumulative amount of shots that he took over those first 4 rounds and into this 5th round was just a lot more than what Eersel had to deal with. Eersel is then able to stun Haida just before the final bell, one more time just before the final bell of the round, and that's kind of how the fight ends. That's how the fight went. Eersel, I gave Eersel the round 10-9 again, so I could see Haida getting one round there in the middle, maybe, but like I said. And that was for round 3. But like I said, I don't think that first minute of round 3 for Haida was enough to give him the round, in my opinion. So they go to the judges' scorecards. It's a unanimous decision win for Regian Eersel. He is and still the 1FC Kickboxing Lightweight World Champion. And really, guys, Eersel just used his reach brilliantly to control the fight, and Haida just had trouble getting inside of the reach of Eersel. That's pretty much the best way I could describe this fight in a nutshell. Is Haida just couldn't get inside of Eersel's reach, and Eersel used that reach brilliantly to keep Haida on the outside and control the fight. I mean, I definitely think Haida hung in there. He definitely showed that he can hang with a title, with a champion and be a title challenger. I just think he needs to go back and try and maybe fight a couple guys that are taller like Eersel and see if he can figure out a way in which he's able to get inside and do better against those taller guys. And then Eersel, I mean, he's got to wait for the next challenger to come up. And honestly, I think if he can do this every time, then he's going to stay champion for a while. So we'll see what happens. That's my take on the fights there, guys. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you agreed with what I said. Let me know if you disagreed with anything. If you think I missed, if you go back and you watch the card and you're like, hey, Rob, I think you missed this. I thought this differently than you thought. Drop a comment down below. Reach out to me on Facebook and Instagram. We can have a discussion there. As always, the Facebook page is One More Round with Rob. You can follow me on Instagram as well with the handle at One More Round Rob. So go and like and follow those pages. I'm posting there daily. Obviously here on YouTube and wherever you guys are gonna get this podcast. Like, share, subscribe, review, all that kind of stuff. Really enjoy doing this for you guys. Definitely looking forward to keeping it going. So, as always, guys, stay happy, healthy, and safe. And congratulations, you just went one more round with Rob. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.